Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope y'all are doing well. What's up? It's your favorite, DeLon Canterbury here. We are coming in live here in Kissimmee, Florida. Welcome to another episode of the Red Pill versus the Blue Pill. And I can't think of a better location to have this setting for this show where we are coming in again in Kissimmee, Florida at the American Society for Consultant Pharmacists National Annual Conference that we have. And so, this is the leading minds of LTC, geriatric care, senior care pharmacists who are passionate about our aging adults, passionate about G prescribing, passionate about quality aging. So I can't think of a better place to be. So we are fortunately here today. We are going to be presenting and leading a focus group in a couple of hours. It seems to be invitation only. So we'll be talking about the power of deprescribing, how geriatric pharmacists can monetize it, how they can honestly think a little bit outside of our traditional mold that we may see within the long-term care SNF space. But there are other amazing opportunities and strategic partners that we can embed our expertise with. Oh, got my official badge. I'm excited to be here. So, BCGP, I appreciate that they have the BIPOC owned business. I think that's pretty dope. And of course, did we just become friends? Yeah, we're going to be hearing a lot of that. So, hoping this could be a great conversation starter. But more importantly, I've already ran into some dope students that I met from Campbell when I gave a discussion to their ASCP SNAFA chapter on, well, the opportunities out there as it relates to being a geriatric focused pharmacist, or at least looking into other modalities of switching your 9 to 5 from the traditional mold that we may see with the climate of pharmacy. So I'm super excited to be here. There's a lot of amazing content coming up on the agenda that I'm really excited for. We have a couple of sponsors from some manufacturers doing discussions on some of the newer treatments for managing dementia. They also looking at some of the schedule they have. Today is more business as usual for the committee members, but tomorrow's the kickoff day. Our keynote speaker is Dr. Drew. Yes, the famous Dr. Drew, who'll be talking about the opioid epidemic and what pharmacists can do with substance abuse management and helping those in need of those services. So it's really an integral time for us to step up and seamlessly integrate into these different health models. Like as I discuss a lot with my prescribing alumni students, it doesn't have to necessarily be a one-on-one client consultation. You can work with tons of other forward aging businesses like physical therapists, occupational therapists, dementia advanced care planners. There's a number of people that can monetize and benefit from our expertise, but not just med reviews, but that way we advocate and educate. And change comes with education, but more importantly, it leads and starts with having empathy. So a lot of what I discuss really doesn't begin if you don't have an empathetic relationship with your patients. But there are awesome things coming up for tomorrow that I'm most excited for. Some of my favorites on the agenda. Of course, there's a really interesting breakfast discussion tomorrow with Alzheimer's disease, looking for some of their newer guidelines. They're going to definitely want to push some of their newer psychotropics that can manage dementia, and I'm still have yet to be sold on that. So I'll see what they have to say so I can learn something. There's a psychotropic stewardship. So I'm always big on what can we do to safely remove and reduce the harm from some of our psych meds. So I'm going to be looking at some of that. They have that session tomorrow at 11:15. That's piqued my interest. We've got some things on heart failure, which I'm not really not that interested in that. But they got tons of other cool stuff. Dyskinesia is management of that. Let's see what else they have. Generating strategies for pharmacies, of course, for our independents out there and LTCs. Saturday, I'm more excited about because they have a costume party later on to wrap up the event. So one of my good students and friends, Dr. Tamara Ruggles, she and I are going in a combo costume. So I don't usually do costumes. I'm not a costume guy, but I say, you know what? Why the hell not? So this year, she and I are going to do some things. So I'm going to keep that a secret until you see some of the photos and content for that. Yeah, Jesse, thanks for the good looks, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Um, but yes, we got some fun stuff lined up. So we've got a jam-packed weekend. Let's see. For Saturday, we've got antibiotic stewardship. I'm always big on that. We've got functional medicine. I think that's led by Dr. Veronica Riera Gilly and Lauren Castle. So some good friends of mine. I'll be sure to say hello to them. We've also got, they're talking about functional medicine and the prevention of prescribing cascades. So always going to be a good one. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Saturday at 9:45. What else we got? We've got managing tardive dyskinesias, of course, reducing medications at the end of life, a huge one. The power of personal branding for consultant pharmacists, extremely critical. I think that's extremely important for any business owner. Topical versus transdermal. Let's see, pairing pharmacogenomics with behavioral support and interdisciplinary approach. That is exciting. I love that. Yeah, and then of course we have our annual duck race and our Jerry party. So we got some good stuff, and then we of course we're gonna have poster presentations uh, and tons of other goodies along the way. So I'm excited to be here. More excited for our focus group that I'll be leading in 2 hours, where we'll talking about monetizing deprescribing, like I mentioned. But more importantly, I wanted to be more interactive and have people kind of share what they've seen and what they're currently seeing in the climate, whether it be in the SNF LTC space. But I want to know more about what other ways we can leverage our awesomeness and, well, give people some insights to that. So curious to see what other people are seeing, but more important, I'm happy to be the one to showcase that conversation and essentially show that there are other partnerships that we can leverage quite easily in our own backyard to make substantial impact. So that's going to be my little session, and I'll share more juicy details on that after the fact. This evening, they have a reception, I think a Berman Awards or red carpet reception. So I'll make my way to head to that as well. But I can't wait. I can't wait to see some old friends. I have a couple of mentors and people that I admire that I'm truly looking forward to. Dr. Michelle Lamb, for one, Dr. Donna Bartlett, Dr. Jaron Stout is making some huge waves as he's progressing more of the interdisciplinary model of using more of our pharmacists embedded into physician practices and wants to make that the standard of care. So we've got some really dope heavy hitters here. I'm also excited to see some of my mentees, some of my students that I haven't seen in a while. Really excited to see that. Hey, Juhi, thanks for tuning in. But yeah, I kind of forget. You kind of forget who you touch and who you meet and who you run into. And especially in my life where I'm speaking pretty much everywhere I can that I see viable and valuable for others, you kind of forget some of the people you've touched along the way. So just walking in and seeing some students from Campbell, Miss Joy Morrow and whatnot, it was really dope to see them. She was a Campbell student who heard my talk, like I said, talking about the opportunities in pharmacy, particularly in geriatrics. Right now, we are in Kissimmee, live, Kissimmee, Florida. We are at the Gaylord Convention Center. My gosh, this facility is beautiful. It's like you're walking through their atrium, and it looks like there's basically a zoo. They have some gators in there, baby gators that they feed on certain days of the week. I was just psyched to have a Jamba Juice in here. I'm like, I love Jamba Juice. But yeah, man, this place is, got a lot of people just doing a thing. So it's a day early, so got my registration stuff on board. Also want to give a special shout out to one of my current students in our deprescribing accelerator. Her name is Dr. Meredith Phoebus, and she's actually traveling today. She is, I'm so psyched for her. Has actually fulfilled a pretty dope contract with a health system that's going to have her teach deprescribing to some of their residents and to some of their current faculty in medicine as part of this health system. So she's worked so hard. I'm so proud of her. So she's flying out. She's actually flying out to what's that state? I forget that state, but she's flying out to a state adjacent to where she is up north in the west, and she's going to be giving a talk, like I said, on deprescribing. What is it? What are prescribing cascades? How can we have better prescribing practices to avoid the deprescribing down the road? So she and I worked together, or she did most of the work, of course. I just reviewed some of the slides and some of her proposal, but I'm excited. Only within 2 weeks of starting our deprescribing accelerator cohort, she was able to land a pretty significant speaker deal. Again, helping a health system get introduced to deprescribing, which we foresee leading to probably an ongoing professorship with the health system. So super proud of Dr. Meredith Phoebus, already finding her niche, already growing her business, already leveraging deprescribing as our current cohort continues. We're going into our third week. But if you didn't know, we do have another cohort starting. We have another one launching February, late February. Again, we're looking for passionate soul work people who are focused on the aging population and who, of course, see the need to integrate other models. Okay, like it doesn't have to be just filling pills. Pharmacists don't just fill pills. We are consultants, and so we are leading the experts along the world of how to leverage deprescribing, how to look for the newest tools and accessible resources. So you're comfortable having these conversations with clinicians, with caregivers, with patients themselves, and using, of course, empathetic based care. I think that's what is missing in our health system. So we got to create leaders who are passionate about empathy and who are passionate about building relationships. It doesn't make sense if you're not building relationships with your patients. So we've also got some other conferences going on here. We have NCODA, and that's I think it's the National Council on Oncology. So there are all types of cancer people here, cancer reps you'll see in the background. I'm in the main lobby in front of ASCP, so I'm just kind of killing some time. But we've got tons of awesome people I'm looking forward to seeing. If you haven't heard, another peer of mine, I want to give a huge shout out to Dr. Hedva Bernhout-Levy, and she wrote another book about deprescribing titled Maybe It's Your Medication. So 2 main books I want you guys to consider if you're looking to start dialoguing about deprescribing for our community members. Check out these 2 books. Dr. Donna Bartlett wrote her book, Med Strong, I believe a year or 2 ago. And Dr. Hedva Bernhout-Levy wrote another book called Maybe It's Your Medications. And she'll also be presenting a focus group talking about interdisciplinary team-based deprescribing with a focus group as well. So give those books a look over. I cite them to my students if they are looking for resources to essentially lead deprescribing conversations. But a lot of this starts with having a curious mind, changing our medication mindset, and of course, leading with facts. And the facts is we have an overprescribing crisis in this country. We have a huge overprescribing issue. We've got people 65 and up. Almost half of them are taking 5 or more medications. We actually find that females tend to take more medications than males. So the risk of polypharmacy and prescribing cascades, drug interactions, falls risk, cognitive impairment, oversedation, you can name the side effect. All of those risks can increase when you have longer and longer medication lists. Hey, we're here today, of course, in the land of the leading geriatric pharmacist minds in the country. All right. The professors, the teachers, the vendors, you name it, the students. everyone here has a heart of gold who's looking to reduce harm for our older loved ones. So, hey, what a better place to be, to actually be able to speak to this and influence the minds of others. But even so, man, we got a big problem, and I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm not worried about pharma. I'm not worried about anything. I feel like the impact we can have needs to be international. Like, this deprescribing stuff, it's not new, guys. Like, I'm not preaching something brand new. I don't mean to even try to take any credit for it. Pharmacists have been trained to think like this. Better yet, geriatric ones are too. So we love to have deprescribing conversations. But the climate you guys may see in the news, the unfortunate circumstances we have in these retail pharmacies, doesn't really give light or room or leeway to have those impactful conversations, which is particularly why I took the effort to leave the traditional model and create more of a concierge approach to how we can implement deprescribing from the caregiver side point. But needless to say, man, we got people doing that in different ways, from functional medicine, precision medicine, nutrigenomics, nutrition-based deprescribing. I mean, there's holistic, there's alternative approaches. Everything has a place. And I don't think it should be just held within a research institute or an academic medical center. We need to empower the patient and the caregiver to have, we need to empower, oh, wow. We need to empower the caregiver and the patient to make sure deprescribing is a common conversation that people are having in the medical office. That's how I believe it starts. It doesn't have to be with, all right, now you have permission to stop this medicine just because your provider said so. And again, this isn't a blame game on providers. The problem with overprescribing is a systemic issue. We get reimbursed the more we essentially prescribe, or frankly, the sicker you are. And if you come back with another repay, with another copay, another reinsurance bill, then hey, even better for the health system. But we got a polypharmacy issue everywhere. It's not just in the U.S. It's a global issue. We see this in Africa. We see this in India. We see this in Australia. We just see it, and it's worse in LTC settings. So the blatant truth is, we have about 7% of our population in the U.S., our older adults, living in these LTC SNF memory care units. But who is helping the 93% remaining community dwelling older adults in this country with medication management? You see, there are not many people who can just Google, hey, where can I find a geriatric pharmacist to do a med review for me today? And that's the opportunity that's missing. You have to hope your health system, one, provides it, and then two, you got to ensure that you can get it now. Like, you want to get it now. You want to wait 3 months, 6 months to be on the calendar. I mean, even me trying to get my physical ain't happening until March. So that's the system we're in. And what I find that's been opportunistic and helpful are finding people who come to me in a state of, urgency. They want support now. They need help with the system now. They want genetic testing now. They want to be, they want to learn what the side effects are doing now, not like later, or not when, someone's in harm's way or you're at the ER and we're looking back and it's like, oh, that's what happened. She had a XYZ DDI. Or adverse event. It doesn't have to be, let's wait for the roller coaster to crash. We can literally start that now. So I envision not just people getting geriatric trained or BCGPs, or even considering taking our deprescribing accelerator program to simply monetize it. This is literally meant to be the standard of care. And guess what? We're going to be geriatric in 20, 30 years anyway. So why not instill something that embodies such a change that's going to have a lasting impact that's global? or national, international. It doesn't have to just stick to your own backyard. And that's where I see needs to require substantial policy change. It needs to be a substantial policy change when it comes to how we talk about prescribing. There needs to be a lot we can do and leverage. So internationally, I see the same thing. I see geriatric trained pharmacists consulting with healthcare systems. I see us integrating more into policy. I love that we have certain states in this country that approve and actually support integration of pharmacists. For instance, Maryland has pharmacists integrated into their physician offices. So you're getting these amazing tips, you're getting amazing resources accessible. But the problem is, again, not every state offers that. And so I'm in a state that doesn't. So, hey, that spells opportunity for me, but also a way for community people to get the access that they sorely needed. Like you're always waiting to call up and hope you get a message and, hey, Caitlin, and you hope to get a response. Like, hey, I've sent the message. And, doctors don't get reimbursed. That's why some health systems are charging for providers to respond to some of these messages. Oh, there's some of my students. So, it's like we can go a lot further together, guys, when it comes to this. Hey, see, I'm doing it live now, man. So we have a lot more to offer here. So we can do it internationally too. And that's where I feel it doesn't just start with one med review. We got to incorporate policy change. We have to start reimbursing more for these types of services. And frankly, that's what the future holds for us if we keep pushing it. So yeah, a lot to say, but we only have an aging population in the US that's slated to double by 2040. All right. So it's going to be 80 million by 2040. What was once 13% of the population will in the future be about 25%. And you're going to have a quarter of our population with people who aren't with where for the first time ever in this country, people over 65 will outnumber people in the younger ages. So we're going to have much more older people with, well, hopefully we want more trained people that are younger than us to take care of us. But hey, we got people living longer. So if we have a huge population expected to come and project and double, taking more and more medications, we have antimicrobial stewardship for days. Why aren't we talking about overprescribing stewardship? Why isn't that something we make standardized? And it shouldn't just fall on a geriatrician or a pharmacist in a managed care company to make it happen. Like we can make this normalized. And I think it starts with talking about it and informing and educating the public. So yeah. So I see deprescribing as not just a med review and we taper something and watch it. There's so many steps involved. Trusted messenger is key. Having a story of impact to share with others on why this matters to you or why this may matter to me as a deprescribing pharmacist, they all play a role. And it's not getting better. Overprescribing isn't just going away. It's not, and it's a systemic issue. Like I say, there needs to be an entire overhaul of a health system because we essentially are doing things to CYA in our health system. It's like if I refuse a statin, then I get dinged as a doctor because our patient who's diabetic had an LDL slightly over the goal, and now I have to put them on a statin because that's what my ratings dictate, or that's what my reimbursement will dictate, star ratings, etc. And that's not always the case. That's not always clinically appropriate if we're not at least leading with lifestyle medicine first. So, and that's why I'm going to always be an admirer of that. Like that needs to be the standard. But in this country and in this world, we don't really get paid for preventative interventions. Like healthcare isn't reimbursing for you running 5 miles. Like it'd be nice to see more of that, but that's part of the problem. It's easier to sell a cheeseburger than it is to sell a salad. It's just what it is in this country, and that's what it is in the world. So knowing that, what are we doing to change, to again change policy? And it starts with policy. To me, it's all about policy. Policy is integral, and it's what's missing. And that's why I'm a huge fan of what Jaron Stout is doing in his work, where he is looking to change legislation around the pharmacist's role in these integrative healthcare models, advanced care models. So I'm a huge supporter of what he's doing and the mission that we, of course, can use with using our voice, right? That's what we're here for. So anyway, I've been on a tangent, but we've got some good stuff going on here. We got some good stuff at this conference. We've got a little bit of a little product theater information. So they're going to tell us about some of the breakfasts and workshops some of our sponsors will be spearheading. Of course, they gave us a cute bag, ASCP bag. I appreciate it. So we can focus on the future. Can't wait to hear what Dr. Drew has to say tomorrow morning for our keynote event. So I'm just excited to be here. We got an amazing group of pharmacists in the room. I get to see some old friends. Untangle that bad boy. But yeah, this is going to be a good time. It's going to be a great time. So what else is there to talk about? What's going on? Oh, let's give y'all some updates. Let's give some updates of what's going on with geriatrics in the fall. I want to be real transparent with you all for a quick moment. I had the time of my life earlier this July going into August, going to Africa, reconnecting with the roots and traveling, spending time in Ghana and Kenya and Zanzibar. So it was a phenomenal, just breathtaking, life-changing trip, to the point where I absolutely need to get some type of dual citizenship. And also to the point where I'm like, I got to do business, and I have done business. So we're going to continue to foster more business relationships over there. But ultimately, I came back from the trip about 2 or 3 weeks after the fact, and ended up getting pretty sick. I didn't really know. Oh, Lauren, yay. Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, Lauren Castle. Yeah, man, I can't wait. I actually just shouted you guys out earlier in the live, but I was like, yeah, I realize you'll be here, so we're going to definitely catch up. We got to get us some sour beer. But Lauren Castle, guys, if you don't know, a functional medicine expert and guru, super cool girl, along with her and Dr. Eric Gilly. So yeah, I actually wanted to do that workshop. It's like 4 hours long. I was wondering how to do that. So yeah, let's definitely do dinner. But yeah, hoping that was going to be some good fun. I thought it'd be great to do some interactive case management. It was super cool. It's the first time they've ever done it. So basically, it seemed like it was a group of pharmacists going over cases and like just doing it interactively in a moment. So anyway, tangent aside, we'll do dinner. But yeah, what was I saying? So yeah, so I came back 3 weeks after Africa and just started having problems sleeping, and started having a lot of night sweats, a lot of chills. Didn't really know what was going on. And for about a week, I was just in the bed. Hey, Noreen, what's going on? It's funny you just joined. I was literally just shouting out my trip to Kenya. So it's funny you just came on. But speaking to the fact now, 3 weeks after the trip, I got super sick, when I got back. So I was over here in the mindset, this is maybe late August going into September. And I'm thinking, this is going to be a great time. We got a lot of business goals. We're going to get ready for our next prescribing cohort. We made a huge impact with one of our health fair events, our Duke caregiver events, with building some new partnerships. So anyway, in September, I just got super sick. I got so sick. I essentially canceled every meeting I had. I literally had been knocked out. Thank you, James. Yes, yes, our focus program. Yeah, thank you for telling me the room because I was actually trying to figure out where the room number for that was, James. So I know it's on the calendar, but yeah, we'll talk about the CE program as well that I offer. The Deep Prescribing Accelerator. You can get 15 hours of live CE for geriatric pharmacists, for nurses, for social workers, and of course for prescribers. And it's a 3-month program where we teach that live, but it's a 12-month long program where you have ongoing group coaching. So excuse me, it's 12 months long, but we teach the concepts for live for 3 months. But anyway, got back. I was super sick. I was coughing. I just could not sleep. I had no appetite, so I couldn't keep food down. And so I went to urgent care, about a week and a half, and then I started having a brutal cough. I don't know why the entire world is calling me during a live. Like, can your boy just go live and not be interrupted? Anyway, got super sick in September. I went to urgent care. They got me some doxycycline and some benzonatate, but I was having a productive cough, right? Like terrible, like like I was coughing so much I would literally start vomiting mucus. Not a good sign. So it's pretty bad. And so I took at this point, it's going on to the second, third week. I took the course of antibiotics. I felt a little bit better, a little bit, but I was still having a productive cough. I mean, to the point where I'm getting awoken out of my sleep to cough up mucus. Pretty ugly. So I hate to be graphic, but it is what it is. And at this point, now I'm like, okay, all right, maybe I'm just getting over a bad cold, or so I now end up saying, all right, enough's enough. I went to urgent care. I filled antibiotics. I asked for a steroid pack, maybe just to knock it out. Did the steroid taper dose pack for a week. Still was sick. And so at that point, I went to the doctor to see if I could get some urgent attention. And they did an X-ray, and they found an opacity on my right lung. Okay, they found an opacity in my right lower lung. So essentially, when looking at that X-ray, they're like, "Yeah, dude, you got some crazy stuff going on in here." Was the words from the doctor verbatim. And he was like, if you took a course of antibiotics, it would be unlikely to hit the source within my lungs. So he urgently referred me to go to the ER because he believed I needed to get my lungs drained. Which I'm like, wow, that's invasive, but I want some immediate relief. At this point, it's been going on 3 to 4 weeks of having chronic coughing symptoms and a lack of appetite. And at this point, I go to the ER nearby. I get admitted, and they finally do some blood draws. And instead of just an X-ray, they do a full, what's it called, a CT scan, a full CT scan. And then they take some pictures, and they see that, yeah, your right lower lung, half of my lower lung essentially had liquid in it, and I don't know what this is. So at this point, they're poking and prodding, getting blood draws around the clock. Like, if you can avoid it, guys, don't go to the hospital. Like, my God, you're not going to get no rest. It is exhausting. I'm grateful, of course, to be seen and to have health to get better and talk about it now. But it was not a fun ordeal. But needless to say, I get my loves drawn. Because I was just so sick throughout the month of September, and I have to give a shout out to Holly Berry, who is my client success manager with Geriatrics. And so she did a lot of heavy lifting in managing my meetings and just communicating with people while I was away. So I have to really give some huge support and thanks to Holly Ray, my client success manager and coach for our students. But needless to say, they find that I have a pneumonia. And in fact, they find I have some type of pneumonia and another infection on top of the pneumonia, which turned into a horrible lung abscess, which is why I was coughing so much mucus. So yeah, it turned into a lung abscess. So now what was something had basically a bunch of mucus in my right lower lung. And now at this point, I've had 4 different providers say, you need to get a drainage, you need to get a drainage, you got drain, 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 let's get you better. And I'm like, I want a drainage because I'll have immediate relief and I don't want this mucus in my lung. But then infectious disease said, we can't tell if it's in the lung or if it's liquid around the lung. Because if it's liquid around the lung in the pleural space, it'll be much easier to drain that. Whereas if we're going straight into your lung, there's a higher risk of infection, and it's just the risk wouldn't be as great. So they opted instead of the drainage, and mind you, I was pretty salty I didn't get the drainage because I wanted to just get something done now. I was an impatient patient, if you believe it or not. But they advocated to just do IV antibiotics and eventually just treat with oral augmentin for a month upon discharge. But it was it was scary. I can't lie, it was scary. And so I have to give a huge amount of thanks and love to the people who not only helped me through that ordeal within my network, who took care of Kaya, who stayed up late, who, made dinner, who brought food, who called, who checked in. I'm so thankful for those people. And you know who you are for helping me there. But ultimately, man, this double pneumonia turned into a lung abscess. And so I say this to say, do not take for granted your health. Do not take for granted health care or having access to health. Um, and and honestly, the best laid plans may not come to fruition. Like, I had an entire plan to, knock out this fiscal quarter, to, build, a whole another business model out of it, to essentially meet with some key strategic people that would make some of those dreams come true. And, not that they were all going to be tossed away, but in the moment, it feels like, I'm not doing it. I'm not there yet. I'm beating myself up because I didn't hit those goals. But ultimately, your boy I could barely talk. Like, I was literally coughing so much, I couldn't really talk to people or have conversations coherently without going into a fit. So, one, I'm grateful to God. I'm much better now. Much, much better. Um, I'm not coughing anymore, thankfully. No real super issues. But in my mind, as we are as perfectionists, pharmacists, whatever illusion of success we put on ourselves, we they're recording behind me. So I ultimately came through, and I just have to give so much thanks for the people who helped me, who saw me in the hospital, who visited, who just supported me through it mentally. I'm just grateful to have that system. Even those who stood over and watched my dog while I was in the hospital, who watched Kaya just to take care of her. So yeah, man, don't take health for granted. And anyway, needless to say, even though I was beating myself up health-wise, mentally I was still wondering, is this, this ain't the end all be all, but I figure if I'm going to give you the full update, I'm going to give you the good and the bad. So September was a rough month for me. It was a rough month mentally for me. It was a rough month for the company, and the fact that I just felt stagnant, even though I was being told to sit my butt down and be stagnant. Whether it was health, your body will tell you if things aren't going well. And I think I was impatient with the season I'm in business, and got friends, and my dad, biggest supporter, my mom, the biggest supporter, who constantly reassure me that, like, what I'm trying to do isn't going to just happen overnight. And I quickly forget that when things don't go my way, and what I'm looking to do is change the world with this. And I want us to see that we all have that power. Like, it's not just me, and I'm not going to do it alone. I'm going to need a team of adult, passionate, deprescribing pharmacists and nurses and social workers and pharmacy technicians and medical assistants and, transition of care specialists and geriatric care managers and, patient advocates. The list goes on. We all can be deprescribing advocates. I will repeat that. We all can be deprescribing advocates. And it isn't going to always require a healthcare background or degree to make that happen. Like, I cannot discuss how many times I go to these meetings and conferences or health fairs or new patients who do the advocating for their loved ones, and they are the ones who kickstart the deprescribing conversation. Anyway, it happens all the time. But what's going on with Geriatrics 2023? Like I said, I had the best laid plans of mice and men, whatever the phrase is, and September was just a kick in the butt to slow the hell down. And so I slowed the hell down. And the main things really are this conference, so being here at the American Society of Consultant Pharmacists annual convention here, and speaking for this, so creating the PowerPoints and whatnot on monetizing deprescribing and how to master it and leverage it. But additionally, we got some other good news in that we are having our TEDx Ocala talk take place in just 2 weeks. So Veterans Day on 11/11, November 11th, we'll be back in Florida. We'll be going to TEDx Ocala, and we'll be leading the stage on the power of deprescribing. Of course, you know it, and how we can accelerate and leverage that from you, the community dwelling person, the concerned caregiver, the loved one, the parent, the spouse, the wife. You all can be impactful in how we kickstart deprescribing in our lives. So that's going to be exciting. So I've been spending these days rehearsing or pretending to rehearse, whichever way you want to see it. But I'm working on the speech. Of course, I got it fleshed out. But I'm so grateful to Manal Fakuri and Mark Codon, who are spearheading the event in Ocala, who invited me to the stage to serve and again give this pharmacist perspective on it. And additionally to Natalia Cox, who was my coach, who's helping me through the TEDx process as well. So exciting stuff. Of course, I've always dreamed to have a TEDx talk. So this isn't, TEDx Ocala. Excuse me, there are differences in levels of TEDx. But it's dope to get on the stage and really just share the story of not just why I do this, but what power you can have with a little bit of passion, with a little bit of educating of others, with a little bit of service, and that's really my goal with the speech, is to give people a different medication mindset and shift to maybe we can do less is more. Maybe we can have less pills. Maybe we can just focus on a quality of life for someone who may be dying in hospice or whatever. So needless to say, huge win for myself and for Geriatrics. But yes, we'll be having our first and probably first of many TED Talks in just 2 weeks or so. So it'll be 11/11 again. TEDx Ocala stage. We'll be talking about accelerating the power of deprescribing. Another fun event that I'm super proud of is Geriatrics is partnering with the Aging Life Care Professionals Association. Those who don't know, this is a consortium. It's a nonprofit, but it's led by geriatric care managers, essentially people who really are passionate about our older loved ones and navigating their care, navigating social services. But ALCA is the name of the group. And so Geriatrics will be doing a deprescribing workshop. So we will be teaching other nurses and care managers on how to import and how to integrate deprescribing conversations into their line of work, which to me is a force multiplier of what we do with our deprescribing accelerator, and of course what deprescribing pharmacists do, which is advocate for deprescribing and better med safety and med optimization. So again, a lot of fun stuff lined up today. Looking forward to seeing some old friends, looking forward to Well, what else? I mean, honestly, that's about it. That's about it for the fall. Like, I am sitting my butt down. I got the message from basically being hospitalized. But let me tell you this, man. It was being in the hospital was tough. Um, I had my hemoglobin drop. Like, I had a hemoglobin of, I don't know, 16 last year. My hemoglobin was 8.8. My INRs was high and elevated. It was 4 something. Um, my white counts were about uh, what was it? There was like it was like 16, 14 to 16. My platelets were elevated. I had lost about 25, 30 pounds, so I'm just starting to gain some of the weight back. But I wasn't doing too hot, man. And again, I'm just grateful I'm here. I'm thankful to God I'm here. I'm thankful to the friends that God put in my way to help me still be here. And I'm grateful I have my health to make it to this conference. So I've only got, 3 more days of augmented antibiotics to finish before I'm done. But at least with the checkup, the abscess has essentially resolved. We're having another follow-up to make sure it's all gone. But yeah, other than that, TED Talk, ALCA presentation next week to geriatric care managers. Of course, presenting today in the next hour or so at ASCP, where we're talking about deprescribing, of course, leveraging deprescribing, just exploring some of the other ways we can build impact with people. Um, it's an exciting time. It's a really exciting time. And I can't lie, this is a beautiful conference center. I love it. This is a great conference center. More importantly, looking forward to having some dinner with some old friends, some drinks, some fun. Just relax a little bit after this talk. So yeah, this is the story. This is my story. But I can't do this alone. I want people excited about deprescribing, even if you're not a pharmacist. I don't think it all has to fall on healthcare professionals. So let's change the world with this. But yeah, this is Dr. DeLon, your favorite deprescribing pharmacist, tuning in on the red pill versus the blue pill. Again, I'm also the founder of the Deprescribing Accelerator, which I invite you to join our waitlist. We are currently closed, but we will be taking applications for our February cohort. We max out at 5 people. You get 15 hours of live CE for our live training. We help entrepreneurial pharmacists build a business virtually, leveraging their deprescribing expertise, and of course, building some revenue doing so. This is fun. This is my life. And so I hope today was helpful, inspiring. I'll give you guys some more updates as we progress throughout the week. All right. So this is Dr. DeLon Canterbury again, tuning in live. You guys have an amazing day. And yeah, see y'all next time on the Red Pill versus Blue Pill.